All right, hello YouTube. Welcome back to game review slash coaching. This time I have a really pog game. This is one of these lobbies with like four really good players are what I used to play all the time and what I played Legion for. I haven't played these in quite some time, so I hope that my analysis will still be on. Um, yeah, but this is a really pog game, and I hope we can have some fun reviewing it together. So what happened is we even have the YouTube video that Janum or Isolde, who we are spectating, recorded. And it starts out by this Meta Sucks, currently rank 1 player, um, very good username by the way. He picks Cartel, and so we pick Fiesta because it's a good pairing, it has good win rate together. Um, I don't mind that. Usually, as the lower rated player, you shouldn't necessarily pick Fiesta because it forces your teammate to overbuild a little bit, and you kind of want the best player in the lobby to be taking the risks. But I don't think there's a significant enough skill difference in the lobby to really make these considerations valid. Like, sure, there's 500 elo difference, but this is just due to swings and double downs and Genom not being super active. I think that Genom is really one of the best players in the game, so I really don't mind his decision, and I'm pretty sure that Mr. Sagittarius A also didn't mind it too much. Alright, so let's look at the roles. We have an even fancier role overlay now. We rolled into Bone Warrior, Buckler, Skeleton, Serpent, Tempest, Sea Dragon, Elite Archer, APS, Pipsqueak, and Bunk. And if I see this role with Fiesta, I mean, I'm obviously looking for options to intentionally leak wave 1, especially with a cartel teammate. We really want to put on the pressure early, have the long waves. So the natural options are Pirate Skeleton, which leaks wave 1, Tempest with Bone Warrior can leak wave 1, and the rest is just god awful. And with these units, I think the best option is to do this and go for the Fire Archer build. It's really strong. I personally am not super comfortable with it yet, because somehow I keep fucking up the positioning, even though it's super easy. Um, yeah, I don't know. It's just a skill issue. You could, in theory, also try to go for the Tempest Elite Archer. Then you ditch the APS, and you probably ditch the Pipsqueak as well. But Pipsqueak is quite strong right now, and Tempest opening is not as good as Fire Archer opening. And with this, you would probably do the Fire Archer opening. It's not like this role isn't horrible either. You can definitely make an argument for picking this. But I do think that this role selection that Genom went for, or Isolde, it's the same player, it's just Discord handle versus in-game handle. Um, I think this is slightly stronger, but it's not a huge deal. Um, I think if there's Sorcerer in the game, you probably lean more towards the Elite Archer role. You can even start Fire Archer with that one as well. But Fire Archer doesn't really combo so well because Archer needs tanks. So yeah. Anyway, not a huge surprise he picked this role. I would have done the same, and then I would have sucked with Fire Archer, lost the game on wave 5, and I would have been very sad. Alright, so this meta sucks is going for the Pirate Skeleton opener with Sea Dragon, which makes that Fiesta opening for us a no-go. You don't want to have the same start, you don't want to have the same weak waves. And we position correctly, we leak very small against the King Up. King Up most common opening in high elo. So we really just expect to be King Up and King Up on wave 1 as well. We push to 6 workers, add 1 Bone Warrior. We have the Snail pre-income, so we always send it. A little bit unfortunate is that we both leak here. Ideally, we would want one of us to hold. And maybe you can make a point that Sagittarius should consider adding the Peewee here. But it's really not a big deal. It's it's a trade-off. Hashtag trade-off, hashtag Jules. I don't mind this choice either. I think it's totally fine to leak 7 creeps to the king on wave 2. We even have a regen upgraded. It's not. You can make. You can definitely add the peewee here, but if you don't get snailed, you are a little bit sad. So it's fine. We are very sure that they cannot send us 40 here, so we know that the leaks will be small. Very good choice. And now something happens that is very high elo specific, and I like it, but it's also very rude. Uh, we have a long wave. We had 20 here. We know that Paki is gonna push, so we do something that's very, very dirty. We skip income for a brute. And we know he's gonna be 250, 240 value. He has pushed already. Um, Post income brute into big league. Very good play. It is of course a high risk, high reward kind of thing, where if they somehow end up staying 5 workers, which we don't know, they pushed to 6 here already, right? Um, if they stay 5 workers, they will do very well here, and the play is completely god awful. But this is where in high elo lobbies you kinda know what people are gonna do. It's correct for him to push here. It's very close to for us to get the brute out, so it's a very good play to go for it. And we get another very, very good Fiesta. So far, Jenem has read the situation perfectly on every wave and really made very, very good choices. And we get another, like, at this point, Elite Archer is weak on wave 5. We have superb push. We are strong on 4. We have a very good 5 angle, so of course this is what we go for. Um, the flower build is also vulnerable on wave 5, right? Hermit is very, very hard to hold, and if you leak a Hermit and like 4 creeps on low HP, by the time they reach the king, it's like they are full again. So we have a very, very good angle to go 5 on them. Sagittarius saves on 4, we save on 4. We get another very, very clean Fiesta. Very good choice. We even push to 9 workers. High risk, high reward. But it's not even that high risk because we're kind of strong on 5. Then wave 5 happens. Teammate sends Hermit Brute. Absolutely correct send. We go double Brute Snail. Is also, in my opinion, the correct send. We get out the Pipsqueak, so we're kind of fine here. And they save on us. So now, while they take 70% king damage, we are in a kind of good spot. But the game is still definitely not won. And now that they've taken a lot of king damage, we know that they will have to go for a quote-unquote all-in slash counter-attack kind of send. And we have to decide which angles we want to cover and which ones we don't want to cover. And this is sort of the high elo way of thinking, because if you try to cover every angle, you will just be out snowballed, or you will lose to a long save or whatever. So you have to always make certain trade-offs and certain educated guesses. And in this case, we've decided, or at least this is our sending choice, to full resend. And what does a full resend cover? It covers against a big wave 6 send, and it covers a high push into wave 7 kind of send. What it is bad against is overbuilding by blue and red, or being safe-ish on wave 6 and going big on wave 7. And maybe you can say full resend here is cope, because I mean, if they just, blue has like bazookas and stuff, so he can be very, very strong. And red doesn't really seem to have an option for wave 6, so he will either fully overbuild and be safe 100%, or he will take a giga risk and also omega leak to income. So I think Personally, I would lean towards an income king route. Income king is only bad if they full sui for wave 7 and then end up leaking to the income sense. I guess if we are expecting that, which is not super sort of, I don't know, super unlikely. I mean, we have shown Pipsqueak here. There's a healer we have on Sagittarius. So it's not super unlikely that they don't want to go 6, right? We get a lot of gold here, so we kind of don't expect them to go 6. So just the question is now, do they go full YOLO into 7, or do they go slightly safer into 7 expecting a reset? And you can't know this, so I'm not going to blame you for full resending here. You have to make a choice, and you decided to go full resend, which ended up being the wrong choice. Personally, I would have probably leaned towards income king, but I don't think it's like a big... I don't think this is a mistake. I'm just saying, obviously, with what happened, this is a bad choice in hindsight, but I don't think, like, from what you can know, this is a bad choice. Right, so what we do with our build, we have Pirate Skeleton, awesome, so we add 2 of them, they are good tanks for this wave. Pipsqueak is gonna carry us, teammate has a Disciple. Disciple is good for this wave, and it's decent on next because he needs some damage. Correct choices, and now, of course, we know the big send is coming on wave 7, or if they try to go 8, we have our Bunk and Disciple. We're not super worried about wave 8, so we just go income king, absolutely correct choice. We sell the Pirates to build a Bunk. And we also reroll on this wave, and I can try to show it. I should have prepared this, but obviously I didn't. Where is our reroll? Is this wave 6? Yeah, this is our reroll. Haha, I have somewhat prepared. And in this reroll, we have to make certain choices. Our main goal is now to be as good as we possibly can on wave 7 with the bunk that we're building. And Jenem now decides to get rid of the Bone Warrior because he doesn't have an arcane unit in his role. By the way, I did not criticize him for not picking an arcane unit because I still think he picked the best role. It's just something to play around. For like lower skilled players, I would always recommend picking arcane units and all these kind of things. But at the very top level, if you have a good plan and really know what you're doing, you can get away with not picking it, and sometimes it's really worth it. Okay, so Jenem rerolls the Bone Warrior for the Aqua, and the more I think about it, the more I keep thinking that maybe rerolling the APS would have been better. Now, hear me out. We want the APS for the Lumerian combination. It's a really strong combo, but Dark Mage with Lumerian essentially offers as much buff as like APS, or I think even MPS on a Lumerian. So I think it's probably worth more to have a Dark Mage on the Lumerian than an APS. Ideally, like for the ultra late game, you want to have both, but given that we've already entered like a super tactical game, it's most likely not going super late, and then APS ends up often underperforming as an aura. So now that I really think about this, I probably would have preferred us to reroll the APS. Even though we have 3 Bone Warriors, but we only have Bone Warriors in the split, so they won't really be good Dark Mage targets. And we will probably have to sell them at some point anyway. So I think rerolling APS is slightly stronger, but definitely rerolling into the Aqua is correct here. We don't have enough tanks to make a Harbinger good here. I don't think a Boom Tree instead of Bunk or something is better here. So we go for this, and I think it's the second best choice we could have made. And yeah, I really don't hate it. Okay. Let's get back to what happened in the game. We get Mimic Double Robo, we leak 66%. This is completely fine. I mean, we can't full hold against the 240. The Income King is, as I said, correct. I don't know if Spell is the correct upgrade here. It might be better to do attack ups, given that we expect to get a big mercenary that the king somehow has to kill. And with our bunk, we're killing most of the wave anyway. So maybe you take slightly less damage with attack ups. Teammate is getting a Wanderer instead of more veterans and one veteran with Stim, which is also correct. Again, we see that people are really, really good at this elo because Saji really expects a Mimic. So he's building specifically the Wanderer to be better against the Mimic. Very good decision making. Yeah, the Bunk, as I said, correct. I think maybe an Ogre would have even been better than this end, but not a big deal. Right. But now we enter a state where kings are low HP and the next cent can end the game. So we are forced to play with more pressure. If we start just income kinging and just playing for like late game for some fun combos, we will most definitely lose this game. And looking at blue's role, we can definitely target wave 9, and this also protects us on wave 10. Sure, we have a Haven potentially for wave 10, but a Haven will not be enough against the 300 something cent. And our teammate has Disciple and decent tanks, but if we get cringed 7 into 10 now, and essentially make a long wave somewhere or give them free push, we will lose the game on wave 10. So we have to protect it, and we do it by going 9, where both of them are kinda weak. Fine has good options, but Paki is very weak. So we do decent amount of push. Game is equal-ish. We are slightly ahead, but not majorly. Then we go wave 9. Everyone goes full because everyone knows that we have to go full. I guess Fine and Paki could have considered going just income king, but that's a huge risk. You can make an argument that going income king into Fine is a play here, but that looks horrendous in case they ever skip. So I don't really mind going full here. And given that we get full sense as well and hold, we are now significantly ahead. And in a, yeah, I don't know, 80% win chance kind of position, maybe slightly more. But it's very hard. It's still hard to play because, sure, their king is at 20%, but our king is at 56%. So a big leak or a decent leak, and we will always insta lose the game. Right, so what we do here is we push one worker into this send. We could have even considered pushing 0, because our play for wave 10 always has to be the Haven. We have to get the Haven. It sets up nicely for wave 11, 12. We need tank value. It's our best unit for wave 10. So maybe even pushing 0 into this, so we don't have to sell our Fire Archer to get it, might be the play. But it's not horrible either, as the Fire Archer in the split will really only do, well, kinda bad for us, as it might kite the split too early onto the Lumerian, so we might want to sell it at some point anyway. Alright, now we come towards the first decision that I really don't like. We are getting the Haven. We are worried about wave 14 with embargo. I mean, this is most likely an embargo game, and it will most likely go long. And I mean, it's fine to income king on 10, I guess. I personally would have liked to see saving and forcing wave 13, where at least we can be good with our Lumerians, and our teammate has like Disciples and Millennium if he wants to. So we kind of want to force this game to be a wave 13 send, even though blue has Phoenix and red has Hades. But if sends are big and we can sort of protect our 14, we are probably happy, and then we can either overbuild a lot for wave 16 and go 17, or at least we have some options. But it's not easy to find a good wave to target, as both of them don't have a clear weak wave that we can target. But what ends up happening is we send the Cannoneer for income, then our teammate decides to, hey, let's send full here. We add a Brute and they end up overbuilding, which honestly was kind of to be expected, in my opinion. This full is really only good if they push hard to target wave 11 against us or wave 12, and our builds are strong on 11 and 12. So they don't have a full push kind of angle, and I also don't think they really have a good full push resend angle into us, as we already have 1100 value on both of us. So this play is really only good if they hard commit for a full resend on 10, which I just don't see happening. So I really don't like the full send here. It gets them a lot more gold than they should have. Alright, we get a full resend. We hold with our Haven. Very good. We're definitely in a very good spot in this game. Our teammate is starting to fall a little bit behind. He did go full twice in a row and didn't get his guy. And he also had a decent leak here, and he's gonna hit that cartel penalty, so it's a little bit rough for him to play. Right, now we have to make a decision how we want to play this. And in game, I'm pretty sure there was some communication going on about being bad on 14. At least we communicated that with our teammate. And our teammate insta-picks Embargo. I think he has to pick Embargo on Teal. He's behind, and he's sending into the guy who's ahead, so he needs the gold and the Mythium. But now we have to decide, how do we want to protect our weak wave on 14? And really, there are essentially, well, there's one way how you can protect your weak wave by undercutting, which is forcing a wave 13 send. Or you really go for essentially not pushing any workers. And personally, in this spot, I think pushing and going wave 13 is probably the best play we have. We set ourselves up so we can push with our Haven, so we can take Embargo and are relatively safe. We have decent options for wave 13 ourselves. If we end up getting double Fora into blue, his Phoenix will not be doing too much. Sure, he can protect it, but his other units aren't great. So if the Phoenix is just backline, it's not gonna Giga carry him. And with full sending, we can probably hold, and if they skip, they will always die. So I think at this point, you kind of want to make the call to really go hard wave 13. If you want to skip 13, because you don't want them to overbuild, hold, and kill you on 14, then in my opinion, you shouldn't take Embargo. You should take Protector or Investment. But I guess Investment isn't really worth it, because then you only get 60 something gold. Yeah, no, then it's probably Protector. You have a good target with your Lumerian and your Haven. The Lumerian is tanking quite little, so it's maybe not super worth it. But I think it gives you more than the 70 something gold from Embargo. So if you play for a skip, then you also need to make this decision now, push a lot less, and then really commit to being decent on 14. But I personally dislike that choice, because 14 they are stronger than on 13 in my opinion. Well, maybe not on Fine, but on Paki. So essentially you end up sending on a wave where they are relatively stronger compared to your wave 13. So I would have preferred the 13 angle. Alright, so what's happening? We all pick Embargo, and we pushed 4 workers. Our teammate pushed 1. I'm not sure what he's adding the gun for. I don't think this is a really good choice. Sorry. Saji. I mean, maybe you had a great plan, but I really don't see it. I mean, maybe I'm just missing it. I'm probably just missing it. And then what we see is on this wave, and this is something that kind of ends up. It's so strange how Legion works sometimes. We've pushed, and we were discussing where do we go and stuff, and you see that Parky builds a Phoenix, so he's not super pushed. Fine got his Hades, so he's even plus 50 on this wave. So going full is kinda out of the question, given that Saji didn't really push a lot. If we go full on 13, we can probably leak our guy. But, I mean, double 4-eye, I tested double 4-eye snail, leaks him 90% or something. But fine is never leaking. So going full is kinda meh. But going income king when you're weak on 14 is also very, very meh. But on the other hand, what we do here is we shift 280 gold with a Haven. So we're kind of quote unquote baiting the send. But this is also where, it's high elo. We know that Fine and Parky also kind of saw us shifting. So what do they expect? They expect us to bust out a Doomsday, a Sovereign. I was gonna say Phoenix, but realistically not with a Lumerian. So they will expect us to have a good solution. So this shift, whereas in every type of elo below 3.xk is very likely to bait descent on wave 13, this shift is more likely to make them skip. Um, and so with our kind of weird angle in between, we decide to skip because we expect them to skip because he's plus value and he's also kind of on value. Um, and we don't look horrendous on 13, either of us, but we look weaker on 14, so we expect them to go 14. But hey, they just go 13! Overbuilt into Send wins the game! Yeah, this is sometimes how it goes. We built a Haven to be stronger on 14, but I've tested this. Even if you had another Lumerian, even if you had more tanks, you really never end up holding this Send. And with our low HP king and no king ups, we would have to full hold here so we can cover the teammates' leak and not die. And this is one issue with our build with the Fire Archer and the APS. This Lumerian is never tanking anything until last. And some of the power budget of the Lumerian is kinda in the ability with the tankiness it gets. So yeah, this is a little bit unfortunate. This is also why potentially you could make something happen with a Dark Mage, but of course, if you end up buffing a Haven, the APS has crazy values, so I don't really think this is a, I don't know, building choice mistake. So yeah, honestly, kind of crazy game, and I don't hate the choices that were made. I think we got a little bit unlucky on wave 6 with the full resend. Could have been a decent play. I don't like the full resend on 10. I really think skipping and forcing 13 would have been a better play. And I think that pushing here, like half-hearted pushing, right? We didn't full push. And teammate pushes one worker, sorry. I think this is really where the game is getting hard because we don't really have a great game plan at this point. And sure, it's always awkward to make decisive calls with 56% king HP and them being on 20%, but with the economy being rather even, you have to pick your poison. And sort of what we ended up doing was, in my opinion, something that's a little bit the worst of both worlds. Because even if they skip here, I'm not sure if we win a race on 14. Fine is going to be 3.2k value. He's going to have a sov, he's going to hold pretty long. Sure, our teammate has a big gun, but I mean, he's going to get a big send, a ram up his ass, and then I don't think he's holding because he's behind. And sure, we have two Havens, but our only arcane defense is like Aqua, and Havens are more tank value. Sure, the Lumerian might carry, but it's magic damage and really a DPS unit. So I don't really see the 14 angle with um, the amount we pushed. I think if we don't push, we can shift twice and really force a send on 13 maybe, and then go 14 ourselves. But this is also very hard to pull off. So I think really at wave 9 we need to make given the low king HPs and the game state, we probably have to make a tactical choice of what we want to do and which angles we want to cover. And I really think we should have gone for a force wave 13 play, which we didn't do, and then we ended up unfortunately also making the worst choice we could on wave 13 given that they send. I think if we go full, teammate goes income king, we might full hold or leak very small. Teammate kills one more creep. This guy leaks, fine holds, we can play on and sort of win the game later. But this is the unpredictability of Legion. I also wouldn't have expected them to go here with them being overvalue. So I think it's just, you're gonna win some, you're gonna lose some. Maybe, as I said, final note. Maybe you could have definitely won the game, and maybe certain choices that would lead to you winning the game would have been slightly better in the long run than the ones you made. But I really do not think that it's a big difference. I really don't think the choices were bad. I think it's maybe 60-40, 55-45, leaning towards slightly different choices. And thank you for sharing this awesome game. Um, I hope my analysis is somewhat on. I can very much recommend everyone watch the YouTube video. It's unfortunately without sound, but of course you can really follow what high elo players look at, and I think it's definitely a learning experience that we can all benefit from. So thank you for sending in the game, Jenim, and see you all next time.